FPL Game Week 27, the briefing. We've had a few press conferences and some injury updates. So in today's video, we'll be going through the team news, an updated wildcard draft, and how my team's doing and my plans going forward, because I've got a few things cooking up right now. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and as we'll discuss in my team review later, they did not go green. But anyway, starting with some team news, I guess the main question that's on everyone's lips is whether HAALAND will be available. And when he was asked at the press conference today, Pep Guardiola simply nodded when he was asked, so I guess he will be. The Norwegian has also been pictured in training, so yeah, I'm fully expecting him to start what is now a pretty big game for Manchester City tomorrow, as they host Newcastle, given that Arsenal have decided to open the door that should have been a long time ago locked and bolted shut. Anyway, into Bournemouth. Marcus Tavernier is back in training, according to Areola. If he's not available for Game Week 27, he should definitely be available for Game Week 28. So if you still own him, if you owned him throughout the injury, yeah, just keep him. In terms of buying new, I'm not sure I would, because there's a new Bournemouth attacker that I'm looking at personally, which I'll discuss later as well. And then there's a Crystal Palace debrief, because there's quite a lot to unpack here. I guess the first one is that BBC Sport reported that Oliver Glasner's position is actually getting considered. Of course, we already knew that he's actually leaving at the end of the season, but the club might actually remove him before then, because they've only had one win in 15. Definitely not a good place at the moment in terms of morale. Lacroix also went off midweek in the Conference League fixture. Lerma has a hamstring injury, and Mateta could be back in 3 to 4 weeks. So in terms of Crystal Palace, obviously this is extra bruising for me, because I sold Malik Thiaw of Newcastle, mainly because he was going to Manchester City this week. So I thought, okay, let me look for a new defender. And Munoz was hosting Burnley last week, and he was hosting Burnley this week. So I thought, you know, pretty much of a no-brainer. That didn't go too well. But anyway, we'll discuss that in my team review. As for the captain, yeah, I mean, if you own Palmer, I guess you should go there. But I think given Newcastle's away performances in the league, at least anyway, I think it has to be HAALAND captain. I think once Manchester City will get a whiff that there's a possibility that they can win a Premier League title, they just kick into gear. Yes, you can tell me, and I'll discuss this in my team selection as well. Newcastle have been HAALAND's nemesis. He actually has not scored against them since his first month joining the league in England, and that was in August 2022. He's played them, I think, 8 games since, and hasn't scored against them once. So yeah, but I do think, given what's at stake, I think, yeah. And also, that's another thing, in the reverse fixture, yeah, I went against him as captain at St James Park, and you know, Newcastle did Arsenal a favour by winning, but if you watch the game very closely again, HAALAND should have scored at least once, and maybe could have had a penalty as well. So yeah, HAALAND captain for me this week. If you've got Palmer, yeah, definitely go there. And if you've got Joao Pedro, yeah, go there as well, personally. So just looking at a wildcard draft for Game Week 27, not that I think it's the best window to do so. It's more an exercise to do just so we can see the players that we should be basically looking at in the upcoming game weeks. So we'll discuss Rayan a little bit later in this video, but a Brentford triple up for sure, mainly because they've got very good fixtures coming up, and they also play in Game Week 31, so I think there's going to be a lot of investment going there very soon. Semenyo has actually scored more points than HAALAND since joining, which is a crazy stat. Ekatike, Thiago and HAALAND, I just think there's the best front three easily. Bruno, of course, he's missed a form. Of course, he did blank last time out, but under Carrick, he's just been very good. And Virgil, he's fresh off 17 points. Yes, you can tell me it's knee-jerky, but Liverpool literally do have very good underlying numbers, which we'll go into a bit more detail later. Gabriel is just the best defender in the game, and Mukiele just keeps getting points somehow. Wilson and Anderson, they play in Game Week 31, and more importantly, in Game Week 31, they host Burnley, which is quite technically, according to the FDR, as of some updates this week, it's the best fixture in the league. According to FDR, they've actually brought that down to a 1. So for now, obviously you're not playing them against Sunderland, but yeah, I think this is what I'd go for if I was wildcarding, which I'm not. So into how my team did in Game Week 26, and as I mentioned, yeah, it did not go green this week. Unfortunately, even with a triple captain active, I think that's kind of embarrassing, but I will say, don't look into these things too much, because the season, my best FPL season ever, when I finished 389th, I actually got a red arrow on a wild card, and that wild card served me so well. I didn't actually make a transfer between game week 31, I believe, and game week 36. So sometimes you have to be patient, but obviously this season is not going my way at the moment. As you can see, I haven't finished outside the top 25k in the last 2 years, and this year we're struggling to get in the top million in February. So life comes at you fast, but the excitement and the enthusiasm for the game will never stop. It's just about getting it right, really. So we just keep going until we can't anymore. So we've got 11 game weeks to save the season. So let's discuss what we're going to be doing. So into my planned transfer, which has not happened yet, but I do think it's super likely to happen given the price changes that are due to occur later tonight. So as I mentioned on Twitter, 2 FPL Focal Expert series as well, I was very happy to roll and give Enzo this Burnley fixture, because obviously, as I mentioned, Burnley is now the best fixture in the entire league according to FDR. It's the only fixture that's rated as a 1 in the league at the moment. But I do think Enzo, he's got a very high ownership at the moment, so all his blanks, it's a good safety blanket, but if he blanks and then his replacement returns, that's just good for me in terms of getting a green arrow. I also think Palmer's return to fitness and presence in the team has really pushed Enzo back. Obviously, he's good at getting attempted assists and everything, but in terms of actually goal threat, I don't think he's really there. So I'm looking at Rayan of Bournemouth, and he's caught the eye, not just for me but for a few. And he's a third teenager in Premier League history to return in his first 3 appearances in the league. So we're talking about someone that is started historically well. And he's going away to West Ham this week, and he's hosting Sunderland next week. And Bournemouth just had pretty good fixtures up until the wildcard window as well. So, at the moment it's boiling down to, am I afraid of owning someone that is pretty much playing in a double pivot with Caicedo, with Palmer, Esteval, Neto in front of him, in addition to Joao Pedro, for the best fixture in the league? Or do I go for someone that is literally in great form, and he's a Brazilian winger, and he's exciting, and he's a teenager, and he's playing much further up the pitch? Given when I talk about the price changes that's due to occur tonight, it's actually Rayan that looks very likely to rise this morning, at 1:30 GMT time. Why does that impact me? Well, because I'm looking to upgrade Matheus Mane, who I brought in for the double game week, and he got very close to returning, but he didn't. But we move on. That's fine. I'm looking to upgrade Matheus Mane to Thiago of Brentford next week. And right now I've got enough to do Mane to Thiago and Enzo down to Rayan with 0.1 buffer, and I was happy to eat that rise until I realized, 1, that Crystal Palace are in really bad form, 2, Glasner is seemingly wanting to leave, and 3, Virgil van Dijk is looking very good at the moment, and that 0.1 million that I'll lose if Rayan rises means I won't be able to do Munoz to Virgil. So at the moment, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this move before 1:30 GMT on, Saturday 21st of February, but technically Friday night. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, because I would love to have Gabriel and Virgil and Chalobah, and obviously Virgil will play in game week 31 and Munoz won't. So technically, I'm just bringing this transfer forward about a few weeks. So it depends on if the rises, but I do think I'm just going to make it happen anyway. So I'm looking at doing Enzo to Rayan this week. So into the team selection, and David Raya goes down the road for a game at Tottenham for the North London derby. A North London derby which has now been given massive importance in terms of the Premier League, and technically downstairs as well in that bottom half of the table where that lot are currently residing, because Arsenal are going for the Premier League title and Tottenham are going for Premier League survival. Pretty embarrassing for them, if you ask me, especially as Europa League holders. But they do have a new manager bounce. Unfortunately, Arsenal's silver member in the dugout has now departed Tottenham. Very upsetting for us. Please, respect us while we're grieving. But the Gunners have conceded 6 big chances in the last 6 game weeks, which is a league best, and they've kept 4 clean sheets in that period as well. And given the vast amount of injuries that Tottenham have, you're expecting them not to score not too many goals. But let's see what happens anyway. Gabriel Magalhaes, he disappointed his triple captain backers, including me. but he did actually deliver an assist. So that was his 6th attacking return of the season, which, believe it or not, is actually his best ever record in FPL. So 11 game weeks to go. Let's see if it can extend that record. If he wants to score and keep a clean sheet, to apologise to triple captain backers as well as to Arsenal for that nonsense. The goal, the equaliser. If he wants to apologise for that by scoring and winning as he usually does against Tottenham, I'm all for it. So let's go. Daniel Munoz delivered 14 points in the reverse fixture at Molineux when they went away to Wolves earlier this season, and he kept a clean sheet by scoring as well as scoring. But I say that with a bit of trepidation, because he also delivered 14 points at Turf Moor earlier this season. But then just last week, when they hosted Burnley at Selhurst Park, he delivered 1 point. Trevor Chalobah has got the most DEFCON amongst defenders across the last 7 game weeks. So he's got a pretty high floor at the moment, and I feel like he hasn't scored in a while. And there was a period that he was either getting a clean sheet, getting a DEFCON, or scoring. So hopefully he gets a goal. He'll be staying. I say unfortunately, but he plays in game week 31, given my plans to remove Munoz for Virgil van Dijk very soon. Declan Rice's away form is second only to Erling Haaland all season. That's across all the positions. So in away games, he's very good. He's the man. He's Arsenal's man for the away day. And I think I speak for everyone that is of an Arsenal persuasion that we really need him to continue that trend this Sunday, because this game is an absolute must-win. That's all that can be said, really. Bryan Mbeumo has contributed 4 goals in the last 5 game weeks since his return from AFCON, and only Cole Palmer has had more big chances amongst the midfielders. Of course, 3 of those big chances have been penalties, but I digress. Bruno Fernandes is the highest scoring midfielder across the past 6 game weeks. When he's scored a goal, he's delivered 5 assists, and he's had just 1 blank. Of course, that last blank was the last time out, but he has still averaged 7.4 points under Carrick. And his opponents, Everton, have kept just 1 clean sheet in the past 7 games at their new Hill Dickinson Stadium. Rayan, of course, the new boy that's going to be coming in, hopefully, for me. He's the 3rd teenager in Premier League history to return in his first 3 appearances, as I mentioned. He's taken the most shots amongst Bournemouth players since game week 24, when he first started, and only Amin Adli amongst his teammates has created more chances in that time. Ugo Ekatike, he's had 7 big chances in the last 4 game weeks. He's severely underperforming, and we just have to hope that 1, he returns to form, and 2, he takes advantage of the great fixtures that Liverpool have, because I think Liverpool face in their next is it in their next 4 games they play the bottom 5, I believe. So yeah, the fixtures are there. We just have to hope that he returns. This is Mateus Mane's last outing in my team, because he's definitely going to Thiago no matter what happens he does in this game. Of course, I am starting Daniel Munoz, so technically, you know what, actually, I'm not sure whose ownership is higher, but basically either return from Munoz or Mane, I'm happy. Maybe we can get both, so let's see. And Erling Haaland, he will be the captain. As mentioned, he should be fit, so there was a flag early on him that's removed now. And you know, the reason why he's captain is because Newcastle have conceded the most goals and the most big chances in the past 4 game weeks. They also have a shocking record at the Etihad, so I think it's an easy captain for me, unfortunately, for an Arsenal fan. But you know, at the moment we just have to win our games, so let's see. Maybe we can get a 2-2, you know, with Haaland getting a brace and, you know, Newcastle somehow getting a draw. So that's what we would like. That's what's happening. As I mentioned, it's going to be Enzo to Rayan this week. Then hopefully next week I can do Mane to Thiago and not have to take a -4. But if Virgil looks like he's going to rise, I'm definitely just going to do Munoz to Virgil, because I don't want to take extra hits. So that's what we're up to. Thank you for watching. Drop any questions you have into the comments, and you can reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and I'll be ready to answer your questions because it's a late kickoff tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and speak soon.